Hey everybody, it's Jordan here with Major Hi-Fi, back again with another review, and today we've got the Arya Unveiled from HIFIMAN, the latest unveiled offering from the audio company, and I can't wait to get into this review and talk about some of its similarities to other unveiled headphones, as well as its lineage in the Arya series. But first, if you like what you see in this video, definitely like and subscribe down below. It helps us make more videos just like them in the future, and it'll help you get them directly into your feed. So HIFIMAN made some news this year when they introduced the Susvara Unveiled. It was a headphone with a fully open back design with an exposed driver, and it's a design practice that HIFIMAN is now adopting to other headphone lines. And so we saw that with the HE1000 unveiled just a couple weeks ago, and now we've got the Arya Unveiled. And so in this review, I'm going to talk about how this fits into the Arya product line, how it takes some of that technology from the unveiled design and makes it its own. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how the Arya Unveiled compares with the HE1000 Unveiled, so you can get a sense of where these products all stand against each other. So let's just jump right into the review and get started. In the box, you get the HIFIMAN Arya Unveiled headphones, a pair of magnetic veils, a headphone cable, and a HIFIMAN warranty. Alright, so starting off with the build quality of these headphones, obviously it's taking a lot of design influence from earlier Arya models as well as with the unveiled design. It's got a lot going on. So first and foremost, like I've said with the other unveiled headphones, you're getting a fully open back design, which means you're going to want to use these magnetic veils to keep the driver safe. That just introduces its own level of care and responsibility that comes with ownership of these headphones, but it is worth it for the sound, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, in terms of what it looks like, it really looks like another Arya headphone. It's got that classic black color. It's glossy this time, so it's got its own identity at the same time. I will say the glossy finish does lead to being a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, so definitely keep your microfiber cloth close. The Arya Unveiled is constructed using lightweight materials, which goes two ways. On one hand, it's very light and comfortable, but on the other hand, it does feel a little bit more fragile than the all-metal built higher-end models that HIFIMAN offers. But that's a little bit of the trade-off of getting some of this really high-end technology in a more affordable headphone. Overall, I do think they're durably built, but given that they've got that open back design, you're going to want to take care of it anyway. I don't think there's any durability issues. I think the headband feels really good, and it's got that same system that you'll find on the HE1000 Unveiled, so I do think that you're getting some pretty good build quality here, but given that open back design and the lightweight materials, you'll definitely want to take care of this headphone. Now, into some specifics with the magnetic veils, unlike the all-metal veils you get with the HE1000 Unveiled or the Susvara Unveiled, you get this more matted look. It's almost got a little bit of a leather look. It's really cool and distinctive, and it contrasts with that glossy finish really well. And I think it's really cool that the Arya Unveiled is getting its own character in how it looks. It's not just going to be another Arya, and it's not just going to be another Unveiled. It's got its own distinct identity. And I do have to include that I think that the silver of the driver with the black ear cups is a really nice look. I've got to say, it's a really fine looking pair of headphones from HIFIMAN. Now, getting into the design of the headphones, the core of the design is the planar magnetic driver, which is exposed in that unveiled design. Now, this is a classic HIFIMAN driver, so it's fast, it's precise, it's detailed, it's going to do everything that previous Arya headphones were capable of doing, but that fully open design allows for more space, it allows for fewer reflections, and really no reflections, as well as fewer obstacles for sound to have to travel through, and so that just opens up a whole new level of possibilities for these drivers. Now, with a sensitivity of 94 dB and an impedance of 27 ohms, it's not the hardest HIFIMAN headphone to drive, but I definitely recommend using a DAC amp system with this headphone. You're really going to notice night and day difference in performance, I think, by giving it the proper power that it deserves. Now, getting into the sound of this headphone, I found it to really lean into a more dry sound, a more laid back sound, one that presents detail in a way that doesn't beat you over the head. And that really starts in the bass response. You're not getting a rambunctious, overly boomy bass response. Instead, it's more neutral, more laid back, and it lets you hear the nuances of the bass rather than beating you over the head with it. Now, I won't say that there's no dynamics or anything like that. I do think it's punchy and it's quick, but again, the devil is in the details with this headphone. And what I find really impressive about that is how delicately it presents those details. It's just nice and warm and engaging without being too bombastic. So if you're an audiophile who wants a more laid back bass response, something that lends to a more sophisticated listening experience, I think that the Arya Unveiled is a great entry point into that, stepping into that upper echelon of hi-fi. So if you're looking for a headphone you can just sit back and relax and listen to and get plenty of detail out of while not feeling like it's all in your face or too aggressive, this is a nice headphone that takes you into that direction. At $1,400, it's a nice step into that more high-end sound, that more sophisticated sound, and I think it makes it a great option. Now, the mid-range is clear and present and continues the overall linearity of the headphone. Again, it does fall back on the drier side. You're not going to get anything that's overly lush or overly warm. Everything's presented in real fairness. Much like the bass, the mids look to present as much detail as possible while staying relaxed and not being too aggressive with it. That said, there is a nice bit of energy in the upper mids that I really felt on things like snare drum hits or plucks of strings, something that is maybe on the borderline of the upper mids and treble. I found there to be a nice touch of pizzazz, if you will, that made this a little bit more fun to listen to and injected some life in a way that I didn't necessarily expect, considering the overall more neutral and more hands-off approach the headphone takes to presenting detail and information. Still, I would describe the mids on this headphone as extremely neutral. That bit of excitement comes from the dynamics and the sense of space and the tactility of the response, not necessarily from any coloration or any additional treatments to the sound. It's neutral, it's linear, it's reliable, and again, it's just relaxed and pleasant. Now, getting into the treble, it continues that trend from the upper mids of being where the excitement really lives. There's more dynamics here, and it really toes the line between being detailed without being sibilant, tactile without being too aggressive. It really rides a fine line, and I was really impressed by that. It resolves detail in more of a liquidy fashion rather than being analytical or harsh. It is really resolving, and overall it just does a really good job at presenting detail in a way that feels more smooth and more rounded off at the edges rather than jaggedy or too harsh. There's just a nice sense of refinement to the top end detail that I feel like sounds like maybe even a higher end model will. And so again, getting into that idea of stepping into a higher end, more sophisticated sounding headphone, this is a really nice place to look for that option. So this lends to an overall coherence of sound that really leans into engagement from the listener with a more relaxed and refined sound that you'll find in more audiophile-centric headphones. And so I think this is a really nice stepping stone into HIFIMAN's more top-of-the-line headphone approaches while staying true to the Arya identity, which is all about detail. And then now to wrap up the sound impressions with the soundstage. And this is where the Unveiled design is just always going to work for me. It's a really holographic presentation. Having no barriers to the dissipation of sound really leads to a really nice sense of soundstage, and it just feels like a really engulfing experience. I'm really impressed with how HIFIMAN managed to keep some of the sound qualities of the headphone a little bit more unique to the Arya while still implementing the benefits of the Unveiled system. And so that's going to bring me into my comparison to the HE1000 and sort of the Susvara Unveiled as well, I want to talk about expectations of what the Unveiled design means. I went into this review half expecting a mini HE1000 Unveiled, and that's really not what HIFIMAN's intending with this headphone. Rather, like I said, HIFIMAN is trying to take the benefits of the Unveiled design and apply it to the Arya series without taking away from what makes the Arya the Arya. This is an Arya headphone with an Unveiled technological design. And so I wouldn't go into this expecting what the HE1000 Unveiled does, where that has more of a lush mid-range, a little more coloration to the sound, and a little bit more of a top-of-the-line sound. This is still going to be your mid-fi, step up to higher end headphone that Arya always was, but it's just employing the latest technology from HIFIMAN. So if you want to get that higher end tech and some of these new design approaches that HIFIMAN is working on in a lower priced headphone, you'll definitely get that in the Arya Unveiled, but don't expect it to not sound like an Arya. And so that kind of wraps up the review. I think the Arya Unveiled is a really interesting addition to HIFIMAN's product line. It continues the Arya tradition by upgrading its driver tech and its design without losing the character that the Arya brings. It truly, I think, really defines the purpose of the Unveiled design, which is to level up a headphone's driver without creating a single sound for the entire HIFIMAN product line. So I think if you like the Arya and you want improved soundstage and a more neutral and refined and laid back approach to detail, that's what this headphone does really well. And I think the Unveiled design really serves it well in helping preserve more detail, resolve more detail, and also give you that added soundstage. So that just about does it for this review. Again, I'm Jordan with Major Hi-Fi, and if you liked what you saw, definitely like and subscribe down below. It helps us make more videos just like these in the future, and it'll help you get them delivered right into your feed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.